Welcome to Inspiring Teachers, a show bringing you classroom tips, motivation, and stories from successful educators. Join Tavis Beam and Danny Hogger as they explore the why of teaching.
And welcome into the classroom for another exciting edition of Inspiring Teachers. I'm Danny Hogger, and Tavis Beam's in his classroom setting up some cool woodshop ideas. I think they are building model houses out of cardboard, scraping out all the specs onto blueprints, and then laser cutting unique shapes. So that dude is always doing the most cool stuff. And we thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing this show on iTunes and on YouTube. And as usual, we have one of the most outstanding educators from around the world and around the country. Taylor Armstrong is here with me today, IT systems analyst, U.S. Army veteran, and an amazing admin as well. Somebody who brings it each and every day, who inspires people on Twitter, and who's fired up for what he does. How's that for an intro, Taylor? How are you doing today? Thanks for joining us.
Man, I think you might have oversold me. I got a lot of hype to live up to.
Hey, man, it comes from that broadcasting background, working for the Angels. You can't be like, here comes Mike Trout. You know, you got to be like, here he is, the guy from New Jersey who we love, you know.
If you did that to Mike Trout, it'd just be wrong anyways.
Hey, man, you know, he's a good dude. That was my first interview, and I was his first interview. We started on the same day. So
That's
enough
awesome.
about me. Taylor, you're here, man, and you do a ton. Tell us about your journey in education, and for the people who are just joining us who might not yet be following you, because after the show they will, at Taylor_does_IT on Twitter, an awesome account to follow and share for ideas to enhance your use of tech in the classroom. Taylor, who are you, and how did you get into the field of education? Because you've had a really exciting journey and done a lot of amazing things. I'm grateful for your time. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I really kind of fell in education on accident. I served in the military and did my time, and then got out and started, I guess, what we would call looking for a real job, right? And I knew a little bit about IT, and so I started as a technician at a school district and really kind of wanted to start doing more and learning more. So I didn't have a degree. I went back and got a degree and just started trying to work my way towards certification. And then from there, just really got a lot of, I've been on the college level at a couple of colleges. I've been now on my third school system. And really all of it's just, I try to take the opportunities that come to me that I feel like I can make an impact, right? Yeah. I've been at really low income schools. I've been at high income schools. And really what I've learned to look at is where can I help? And the funny thing is, no matter what school district, they all have the same problem, right? It doesn't matter how much money you have or how much money you don't have. They all have the same problems. It's just a matter of how we're addressing them, right?
Place where you're going to make an impact in finding your role. Is that something that was ingrained from a young age? Is that something you picked up in your experience in the U.S. Army? Where did that come from for you?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, for me, my dad was always been a super duper hard worker. He never got a college degree. He never did any of that stuff, but he worked his way up to store manager. He works for Belk, which is kind of all over the place, and started as a little company called McRae's. So he worked his way up slowly and surely from a stock associate up to, sales manager, store manager, and then a regional manager, and just kind of always instilled in me to, you're going to get a ton of opportunities, but you got to go with the right one for your personality. And so, with that and the military saying, you all have a job, you all have a certain job you fit into, it really comes down to, I could do a ton of things, but which thing am I supposed to do? Right. So I've had people talk to me about different jobs and doing different things, but it's just at some point, it's the money might be nice, but it's not going to be enjoyable because what impact can I have? What can I do? And that's where I find my joy is when I get the impact and I get really a place that I can contribute and not only just help people, but also change a couple of lives. That's where my joy comes from. So the money's nice, but you can't really compare with the impact.
Yeah, for sure. You said something recently on Twitter that I think resonates and fits perfectly in that we're all trying to find a place to contribute. Where can our skills apply and make an impact? And even when we don't know what the right thing to do is, finding a place to do something and help somewhere. Yeah. That's really cool. I think that's a good message for almost anyone's line of work too. and that sometimes we find ourselves waiting for the right time, the right opportunity, but we can make that. We can be that. So what are some of your favorite things about your role now? Tell us about, what are the parts of your day that you enjoy the most, and some of the things you do that you look forward to doing?
Well, one of the things that I love the most is that I pretty much work at every school because I work at the board. So like today, I got to go to 4 different schools, help out with a couple different situations. And it's just like, for me, it's almost like being a hero, right? You walk in and people are like, oh, I have this, and you fix it. And they're just like, oh my gosh, you're the greatest person ever. So for me, it's almost like being, Taylor Armstrong, super educator, right? I walk in, I help, and I
Problem
get to
solver.
leave, right? Everybody's like, oh, Taylor's so great. He helped us with this. So, but at the same time, it's kind of sad because you don't get those close connections you do in a single building, right? So you can't,
Some trade-offs.
it's like extended family instead of like your brother or sister, right? You still love everybody, but you don't get the same amount of time and same amount of reflection with each other. So
Yeah.
you miss those parts. You miss the little being around the kids all the time and knowing each and every one of them and things like that. You really end up missing that just means so much to you.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I mean, the school system that you're in, there's 8 schools, 7,000 students in Alabama. Is that correct? Is that right?
Yeah, we got a little over 7,000 in our district.
So that's a heavy burden. There is a lot of need, and so you're enabling people to get their wheels in order to do their job. So you're an important part of that team. What are some of the things that you like the best about the work that you get to do?
Well, one of the things I tell everybody is being at the board and being able to go to every school. I feel like every diploma we give out, I have a little piece of that.
That's
So,
cool.
it's part of it, man. Everybody that comes through your classroom, everybody that comes to our schools, I get a little piece and I tell them, if you ripped off a piece of that paper, that's your part, right? So
That's a good way to
we
look
all
at it.
get to contribute to that. We all get a part of that diploma.
That's you could take that to a larger place too. That part of us feeling like we're part of a collective, because too often we get divided, in
Mhm.
many ways. And we're talking in 2 different parts of the country with Alabama and California. And
Mhm.
sometimes I feel like we separate ourselves too much. We're United States. We're people together. We're educators. We're leaders. And yeah, I think that's really important to think about us all as like a piece of the fabric that fit together. I mean, that's really nice.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you like about doing your job today? Because 2019, I feel like I couldn't have been a teacher in 1979. One, I wasn't
Yeah.
born, but 2, the assets that I have in my fingertips. Like, somebody has a question, I pull it up instantly. Somebody had
Yeah.
a question today about telegraph lines under the ocean and what year it was. I'm not a numbers guy. 1861 is the answer, but I have them look it up and I give them extra credit for finding it.
Nice.
Getting them to use their own tools to find answers and not just communicate by text message with each other and make social arrangements. I love the moment where you can like get them enhanced of, oh, wait a minute, I could have done this all along. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you have
No.
moments like that too, where you get to teach somebody a skill and it's like, wow, I just gave them the power to go and do so much more than they were doing before?
Oh yeah, man. And that's the thing. Like I've loved, I love and I hate it. So being an original IT guy, I actually don't like IT like everybody else does, right? I'm not like, oh, we got to use IT all the time,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, it's a pencil and paper. It's
Sure
a
it
different
is.
way of doing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So, but what I do love is when you have these things like you take a learning management system, where you take something like Go Guardian that could help them, like instead of just monitoring their kids, they can send individual messages for that kid that's having emotional issues, or they can, a kid that's struggling on a test, that can be one-to-one instead of having to raise a hand in front of a class. And it's a big deal for a kid like me, because when I was in middle school, I struggled a lot because I didn't grow until like 9th grade, right? So I'm like this 5 foot nothing. Everybody else is mature. I'm just like, gosh, when's it gonna be my turn? And so I
Yeah.
struggle with that in middle school, and I think about those things for me,
Mhm.
about how great that would be for me to just ask my teacher a question without anybody ever knowing I did anything, or being able to help a student like that. Like those things, when I show those to teachers and I show them not only the practical implications, but also the emotional and social implications that it can help with their students, it's like they open their eyes and they're just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to use this every day. And it means the world to me when you can do stuff like that.
Yeah, that's very, very inspiring. Perfect for our audience. And are there 1 or 2 tools that you wish that our audience over time, as more and more teachers watch and listen to this, that you would think to throw out here that they might not know about, or something that you feel like when you meet someone new and they ask you what you can do or any ideas, what's something that you really hold strong in a pocket that you feel like is a great resource?
Well, see, I'm particular about that because so one of my degrees was in ed psych, how we learn. And I'm a firm believer that everybody's different. I don't think there's a cookie cutter for anything.
Cool.
So, I definitely believe in having multiple choices, anything that's going to assist a kid, because, we might sit down and you would do great with pen and paper. Whereas me, I want to talk about it. I want to have a discussion and I want to learn, and pen and paper is going to do nothing but annoy me. Right. So I like those options. And what I want to do when I talk to those people is really sit down and say, well, what are your kids like? What are your students like? And the great teachers, they'll sit down and go, well, I have students that like this and this, and they'll really go into detail about it. And from there you can go, okay, well, I have this perfect tool that does this, or I have this perfect tool. And that's how I like to approach it, because really that's how we get the best learning and the best teaching.
That's a super takeaway. It really is. So teachers out there, if you're listening, I'm listening, and I'm hearing that we should be listening. And instead of one size fits all programs that might not be the right fit for you, talking with your IT pro, doing some research online, and thinking about what it is that your students really need to take the next step, and then finding a solution that matches that. That sounds like a good piece of solution. So Taylor, before we take off here, where can people find you, and what else are you doing that you want everyone to know about so that they can follow along with you as time goes on?
They can find me on Twitter. I'm, as you said, at Taylor_does_IT. And I did it that way on purpose, not for the IT part, but for the it.
Nice.
Because in our schools, while, yes, I do work with a lot of IT, I think the biggest point of our schools is that whatever it is, we need to do it, because that's just what it takes, right? It takes all of us doing it together. And if it means I got to step in the classroom today and do what I need to do for a teacher, that's what it means. If it means I got to be the security guard doing bus duty, that's what it means. So when I have that handle, it means if you need something, I'll do it. That's what it means.
That's awesome, man. There's one more thing I want to connect to, and that's a little while ago you said it's not just one place or one idea that's going to help each particular student. You spoke of your own personal experiences. Yesterday was Giving Tuesday. That's the day most corporations do their big charitable donation for the year. And I told my students today what I think is important, because they asked me which one I thought they should donate to. And I said, every particular charity can help a group or an individual. So donate everywhere, because there's always somewhere that can use your donation. Well, I'm Danny Hogger, and I want to thank Taylor. Thank you so much for being with us today on Inspiring Teachers. Wishing you all the best for the rest of the school year and a happy holiday season.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem. And until next week, we'll have another amazing educator. I'm Danny Hogger, reminding you to support us on YouTube and on podbean.com. Thank you for the educational bandwidth. Don't forget to go check out ampeduplearning.com for amazing resources, Hogger History Store, and more. Use the code HoggerHistory for 10% off. And until then, class is dismissed. We'll see you on the next edition, everybody. Have a great night.